So price discrimination refers to different consumers in the market getting charged different prices. In a general sense, it is not illegal and it happens all the time. Giving you examples there, different seats on an airplane. Has anyone ever bought an airplane ticket in here? Actually bought it yourself? Okay. The way it works is there's all these different algorithms, and so typically the people around you, you all pay different prices for those tickets. It's actually kind of interesting to look at the science behind it, but based on the time of the day of the week, how many times you've looked at the website, it can all affect the price. And this is kind of going on a tangent, but typically they say like 6 weeks out from when you're wanting to leave on a Tuesday afternoon is the cheapest time to buy a plane ticket. It's just kind of interesting how the pricing model works. But anyways, whether you buy first class, coach, most people in the airplane are all going to pay different prices. And ultimately, it's based on consumers paying the price that they're willing to pay, which is going to make more sense when we actually get to the graphing point. But that's how price discrimination works. That the producer is going to charge the consumer the highest price that they're willing to pay for that product. And all consumers have different demands. So all consumers are willing to pay different prices, and that's ultimately what the monopolist is going to charge them. And so everyone in the market pays different prices based on their different demand, and really it's based on elasticity too of how soon they need that product. But movie theaters, coupons, student tickets versus general tickets, people paying different prices. Now, if it is based on gender, race, any of that, obviously that's horribly unethical and illegal, and the firm cannot do that or they're going to get shut down. But I would say age, but no, age doesn't matter because senior citizens get cheaper tickets than you do. So you can base it on age. That's not really discrimination. But anyways, you get my point. People pay different prices. This is that whole concept too, that people are going to pay the price that they're willing to pay. A couple rules. They've got to have monopoly power, meaning they are the only ones selling that ticket. And, if GoFan wanted to charge different people different prices, they could. Because ultimately GoFan now has monopoly over most high school athletic event ticketing. You got to be able to segregate the market, meaning different groups of people. Not segregation in a bad way, just saying this group of people is going to pay this price, this group of people is going to pay this price. And then consumers must not be able to resell the product. Now, yes, they can illegally on the side, but they're not really supposed to be able to resell the product in a true market fashion. So, price discrimination. Earlier, we saw every step of this kind of pyramid-looking thing was the same, meaning we went 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5. You get the point. That every time the price lowered, everyone in the market paid that new lower price. With a price discriminating firm, that's not the case. And so now different consumers are going to pay different prices in the market. And so when they lower the price, yes, it does pick up an additional consumer, but someone over here is still paying that higher price. Because of this, price now equals the marginal revenue again. Because when the price goes down and they attract that new consumer, well, that's the price that they're going to get from them. That additional revenue is equal to the price that the new consumer is going to pay. Price and marginal revenue are the same. That's just saying demand and marginal revenue are now the same again because these are the same. And so consumers are going to pay the price that they're willing to pay. Remember, demand represents all the consumers, and so the additional revenue from that new consumer is going to be equal to the price that they're willing to pay. I know I'm going quick, but hopefully that makes sense because we really just need to get to the graphing part of this. So, this is a non-price discriminating monopoly. This is what you're going to see probably 90% of the time on the test. It's just a traditional, old-fashioned monopoly that we just saw in 4.2, meaning M1 equals MC. That's the profit maximizing output. They're going to go up to where they hit the demand curve. This sets the price that they're going to charge, and then we base it off of the difference between where demand and the ATC is, representing either a profit or a loss. A non-price discriminating monopoly means that everyone in the market pays this one price, whatever that is. There is no price discrimination. Everyone pays PM. If the firm were to price discriminate, this now becomes the profit in the market. So everything in green represents the profit for the firm. Because MR equals MC. Because remember, demand now equals marginal revenue. So this is the profit maximizing output at Q. Consumers are going to pay the price that they're willing to pay. Whatever that highest price the consumer is willing to pay, that's what the monopolist is going to charge them. So profit follows this demand curve because this represents all the different prices that the consumers are going to pay. And so now everything in here represents profit. And so if the monopoly can price discriminate, a lot of times it's in their benefit because they're going to earn a whole lot more money because they're going to attract new consumers with these lower prices. But people are still going to pay those higher prices as well based on their elastic demand. If they need it now, they're going to pay that higher price. But if you can hold out, or you can wait till it goes on sale for whatever reason, you're going to pay a lower price. But this would be the example of a price discriminating monopoly and how you recognize the profit. Is it likely to come up on an FRQ? I wouldn't say super likely, but it could. It's definitely within the scope of the test. But like I said, typically you're going to get this graph. This is the one you're generally, if they ask you to draw a monopoly, you're going to have to draw this one. But could this one come up? Yes, this one could come up. You'll probably at least have a multiple choice question on there about some kind of price discrimination, and ultimately it's going to be looking for the monopoly is going to charge the consumer the highest price that they're willing to pay. That's really what they want you to take away from it. But it says identify the price, the profit, the consumer surplus, and the deadweight loss. So there is no one price, and you can't identify the prices. Prices are all up through here based on the different consumer demand. Profit is everything in green. Consumer surplus, well, there is no consumer surplus because there is no difference between willing to pay and did pay. Consumers paid what they're willing to pay. So consumer surplus doesn't exist. There's no difference between willing to pay and did pay. They just pay what they're willing to pay. And then deadweight loss, there's really not any deadweight loss because there's no one's excluded from the market. All the consumers that want the product are getting it. Because remember, this represents a supply curve, and so that is actually a point of equilibrium. And so all the consumers that want the product are actually getting it. And so there is no deadweight loss because no one's being excluded. They're just paying different prices. How do I feel about that? We're good? That one's a little bit more difficult, understanding the concept behind price discrimination and how it actually works. But and we're not going to play name that concept. So, questions? We're good?